Now joining me here in the studio, I've got Dennis and Rich from Namco Bandai Games, and we're checking out SoulCalibur V. Gentlemen, welcome to the stage.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, great to have you guys here. Comic-Con, how's it been going for you guys so far?
Comic-Con's been good. It's been really busy. There's a lot of people out here.
Yeah, lots of folks. You guys got some PlayStations stations to play at, to clarify, out on the show floor. Yep. But you brought in your massive arcade stick and SoulCalibur V here. That's what we're talking about today. Yes. We're gonna get some fighting going shortly, but give us the, SoulCalibur, obviously a venerable fighting franchise.
Yes.
What's up with SoulCalibur V?
So SoulCalibur V, the latest version of SoulCalibur. Mm-hmm. One of the coolest things about SoulCalibur V is the game takes place 17 years after the events of SoulCalibur 4. So
that's a pretty big gap.
It's a big gap. Right? It's a big gap. So with that, a lot of characters, they've changed over time. There's going to be a lot of introduction of new characters.
Okay.
So it changes a lot in the game.
All right, cool. So young people becoming old people becoming robots, that kind of stuff. All right, well let's fire the game up here, Rich. Let's jump into a match. Going. And we're going to show off, you guys got a couple characters here. Who are we going to be seeing starting things off? So
first off, we'll be showing off Patroclus and Mitsurugi. And so Patroclus is one of the new characters for the SoulCalibur V. Mm-hmm. And Patroclus is the son of Sophitia.
A SoulCalibur veteran of many years.
Yes, yes. And so he is the new hero for the title, for the game.
Okay.
So the story mode is going to follow mainly him and his adventures throughout. So you're going to see he uses the short sword and the shield.
Just like Mama used to do.
Just like Mama used to do. And so from a gameplay standpoint, some of the stuff we're going to show you here for the first time showing actual uninterrupted gameplay is a little bit about the fighting systems. So one thing you'll see here is there's something called the quick step. So the quick step is something you'll see when Rich double taps. He's going to do a quick turn in 3D.
Okay.
So this allows you to easily evade attacks and also get around to the side of your opponent to be able to counter attack.
Okay. Yeah, that seems like pretty makes you pretty nimble.
Yes.
And especially when you're talking about battling in that three-dimensional arena, you want to be able to get around and get to the backside and whatnot like that. Okay,
exactly,
so that's the quick step.
So that's the quick step.
Yes.
So and then some of the other things that we have. So there's new attack systems called the Brave Edge and the Critical Edge. So the Brave Edge is something that allows you to take certain moves from characters, and then it'll either power them up, so they'll do more damage, or it will decrease the reaction time to them so that you can use them in combos more so than other moves. Or there'll be certain attacks that are so powerful that they'll just break your opponent's guard immediately.
Okay, so Brave Edge, so put that in context. Did we just see him use the Brave Edge?
Yes.
There was some, like, the shield bash?
Yep.
We're going to show you the basic move and how the transition is from the basic move to the Brave Edge version.
All right.
So you're going to see a basic shield bash right there.
Yeah.
And then right here we're going to show you how the Brave Edge is going to work with the added hit.
So okay, yeah, so it's a quick follow-up to
It's a quick follow-up. The properties of the moves are going to change just a little bit, so it will work at your advantage. And there's also a little bit that gets taken away from the bar that you do have. So you're not going to be able to spam this out all the time, and you got to have a good amount of bar management.
So the bar you're talking about is that little curved bar around the number in the top left, or top right, as it were. Now, so I see Mitsurugi is maxed out here. That's the CPU player.
Yes.
You're at so you
one
just
bar
up to
right now.
One is that you sort of bank them, and that allows you like one Brave Edge attack.
Yes.
Yep.
A Brave Edge attack actually comes into portions. So for every one full bar that you have, in this game you can accumulate two full bars.
Okay.
You'll be able
start the fight with two full
You'll
bars.
be able to do 4 Brave Edge attacks.
All right.
Yep.
So this can all be combined together if you want to do one long string of combo, or you can actually put this in with anything else that you want. So you can launch them. So you can do a basic. It's definitely an accessory to building up your combos.
Yeah.
But you can't just spam it the whole time. You really want to go ahead and.
It's a limited resource.
It's a limited resource, and you're going to be playing for the amount of rounds that you're going to be going off. So your strategy is going to be a little bit different, but it's one really big thing that's going to be in this game.
Okay, so that's the Brave Edge.
That's the Brave Edge. So and the next is next is the Critical Edge. So Critical Edge is a flashy kind of super finishing move. Exactly. So that takes a full bar.
Nice timing, Rich. Good.
Yes. So that takes a full bar of your meter. And so those attacks do a lot of damage. They're really flashy. They're really cool. Of course, Mitsurugi's are defeated there, so that one didn't quite hit him. But
it snaps into sort of those dramatic camera angles, and once you start landing a critical hit attack, your opponent can only just wait and like hope that it ends soon.
Yes. And
now it also gives you a great view of what that like pelt that's over Patroclus's shoulder.
Yes.
What is that? Like a little fang
like a
beast?
little meat, you know. He's a warrior.
He's a warrior.
Hunter, so,
you need it. It's what boosts him up.
Yes.
Well, intimidating the opponents.
Yep.
I'll wear you across my shoulders.
Exactly. So every character has one unique critical edge attack. And so, and those attacks they're kind of similar to the critical finish that was in SoulCalibur 4.
Okay.
But the properties have changed a bit. Mainly it's how and when you can execute them. Fans, they really liked executing and seeing those critical finishes, but because it was basically a one-round instant win, you didn't get to see it very often. Plus, it was actually kind of hard to do. You had to break off, the opponent's armor, and then you had to, put in the input for it. And again, you couldn't see it all that often, and novice players, really didn't get to see it at all, really. So this is a way that players and fans can really kind of check out all the really cool moves and be able to, execute them, multiple times in a match.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, for someone coming into a fighting game, if you're not familiar with SoulCalibur systems or maybe not an ace fighting game player, you want to see all those awesome moves, but it can take a lot of practice to get there.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
So you're making it a little more accessible, a little easier to do. You don't have you mentioned that previously the critical finish, you needed to weaken the opponent by knocking off their armor.
Yep.
Do you have similar mechanics in this game about like degrading armor and stuff like that over the course of the fight?
So the development team right now is working. They're tuning a lot of the additional battle systems that they're putting into the game, and so they are evaluating, looking at what was in the previous SoulCalibur games. The armor break system being one of those, and they really want to take all the feedback and then put in and implement just the best versions of everything that's been in the SoulCalibur series in the past. And then also, if there was something that was good but maybe needed a little bit of tweaking, then they want to go in and tweak those before the final game is ready for SoulCalibur 5.
Okay, so still work in progress.
Still work in progress.
Still
yes.
sort of working on what to bring in, what to tweak.
Yep.
Obviously, in terms of stages, you guys are still doing, ornate places to fight, and it looks like they change during the
match. Yep.
We've seen some walls fall away
Yep.
in this particular stage.
Yes, so the torture chamber, definitely as the rounds go on, or depending on how you interact with the stage, it will change its properties as you go. And so that's another really cool aspect of fighting in 3D is to really have environments and stages that you'll be able to interact with.
And so did we just see the critical edge?
Yes.
Yes. So that was Pyrrha's critical edge attack, and Pyrrha is Sophicia's daughter.
Sophia really bringing. There's like apple doesn't fall far from the tree here, huh?
You gotta bring him in.
Yes.
Is Mama herself, is she gonna be pitted against her own children in combat?
Right now we haven't really talked about what has happened to Sophia in the time between SoulCalibur 4 and SoulCalibur 5. So we'll be revealing a little bit more about the story. Definitely the characters that are going to be in the game. We'll be revealing that over the next few months.
All right. But so for now we've seen Patroclus and Mitsurugi.
And
then now we have Pyrrha and
Siegfried. Yep. So one other thing you'll notice with Siegfried is if you get a good look at him,
his sword is as big as him.
His sword is pretty much as big as he is, but you'll see that he actually has completely aged between SoulCalibur 4 and SoulCalibur 5. So Siegfried is 17 years older, and so you can tell he's a little more weathered at this point. But then also he has 17 years more experience in battle, so that's going to affect some of his tactics and some of his attacks. Yet he's still going to feel very familiar for the fans who played Siegfried beforehand. So similar yet different.
Yeah. So you guys sit down and you got the move set laid out, and you're like, all right, well he's got overhand sword slash. Now what happens 2 decades later when he does that? How does an older man do that? No. Like, does it get a little harder for him to wield that big sword?
Oh, well, you know, he is a fighter and he's a
That's
warrior.
true.
So, you know, he
Shape,
stays in
right?
shape, he works out. So, you know, he's still going to be able to do a lot of what he did before. You know, maybe he might be a little bit slower in some areas on certain attacks, but then he'll learn different ways to wield his weapon, so then he'll have new attacks,
So even
speedier
though
attacks
he's
as well.
familiar, you know, folks, so there are some changes, something new that's
Well,
going on.
skill comes with age. Let's put it like that.
There you
I
go.
mean, with all the stances that he's had in the previous games, with the implementation of Brave Edge being in this, there's a lot of cool things that are going to be different per stance. So, you know, both the casual player and the competitive player are going to try to pick up on these new things that are just going to be, number one, cool, and two, are going to do a lot of damage and kick a lot of butt.
Okay, so now you mentioned competitive player. Obviously, fighting games are competitive by nature,
Yes.
and we've got, you know, two people can fight locally on the screen, clearly.
Yes.
But let's talk about online play. Were you guys revealing sort of the extent of what you're trying to do there, or any kind of modes you're bringing to the table? I mean, I think it's probably a given that you're going to be able to fight people online.
Yes.
Okay.
You're definitely going to be able to fight people online. So you'll be able to fight both locally, you know, with someone else, like on the couch, just on one system, and online, of course, with people around the world.
Okay.
There's actually some really cool stuff that we're going to be doing online. There's a
You're
lot.
going to tell us about right now.
There's a lot of stuff that we're doing that we think, you know, really makes that online experience just more robust, more fun for fighting gamers. And you know, there's a lot of stuff that you know, that the development team looked at, you know, other games and other genres and said, you know, hey, like, what if we tried to do this but bring this into the fighting genre?
Oh, interesting.
As far as
so not
doing
just
stuff
trying
online.
to see what maybe your fighting game competitors are doing, but what's happening in online gaming.
In online gaming altogether, exactly. And then, of course, we're also looking at what our competitors are doing in the fighting space as well. And so the development team's really trying to piece together, you know, the best online experience for a fighting game.
And one of the things that the development teams do, as well as what we do, is we make sure that we're reaching out and trying to hear out what the communities are actually saying. Because even the previous games, like they're continuing to play SoulCalibur 4, and they're very vocal about everything in the game. So, you know, we make sure to hear them out, and, you know, we express all emotions and all feelings about how they feel about a particular thing, and we always put that into place, and we just want to make sure that that's on the table. So there's a lot of thought behind. It's not just like, oh, we want everyone to play online, but we want it to be the best experience that we can bring as we bring it to the players.
Cool. Well, I think the community right now is saying, why are you letting Ivy
Why are you letting
get
Ivy
trounced
just
right
get
now?
trounced? Yes.
So we're going to change.
So we're taking a look at Ivy in action now, and now she's obviously an iconic SoulCalibur character.
Yes.
You guys sort of talked about her for the first time earlier this week, but now we're getting to see her in action.
Yes.
And
So
that nasty sword chain. What is the word for that thing? That's just like that's her
it's
signature
kind
weapon.
of her like a whip sword, because it's a sword, but then it extends out to be a whip as well. So Ivy has always had a really unique fighting style, and so that, along with her unique dress and style herself, has always been something that fans, you know, really like. Oh, you know, like Ivy, cool character, and. You know, one thing with her gameplay, so Ivy was always a cool looking character, but, you know, Ivy was pretty hard to use. She was definitely one of those characters that if you picked up the game as a novice player and tried to pick up Ivy, she didn't come as naturally to either a button masher or a novice player as some of the other SoulCalibur characters. So she was definitely a character that you know, you need to be
Took a little bit
experienced,
more practice.
exactly, to be able to play. So. The development team.
Rich seems to have had some practice here.
Yes. So the dev team looked at Ivy and, you know, wanted to keep a lot of her iconic attacks, but at the same time made her a little bit simpler to use. So that way, if you really like Ivy, you want to pick her up and play, you'll still be able to unleash some really cool attacks without anything, you know, too extremely difficult.
Okay.
But she still has a lot of her really tricky moves, so that if you're an Ivy fan, which, you know, I know Ricardo is an Ivy fan, if you're an Ivy fan, you know, you'll still have a lot of cool stuff to do with her.
Now, is that a philosophy you guys are sort of extending to the whole roster? I mean, you know, you've talked a lot about sort of ways that you're, you know, with the critical edge or the Brave Edge attack, making it a little more accessible, a little easier to activate those flashy things. You know, making Ivy's moveset a little bit, you know, easier to do, more powerful stuff. Is that sort of an approach you're taking to the whole game, like just letting people do the cool, flashy
The cool stuff. I mean, definitely, we want people to have fun with the game. You know, we want people to be able to do what they want to do best in the game, which is, you know, fight, you know, beat up people, show off really flashy, fun moves, and show off like, you know, hey, I did that. That's awesome. Look at that.
Yeah.
So we definitely
Take
want
that, sucker.
Exactly. So we definitely wanted to do that, and so where the development team is tuning the game to again make it more accessible. So they're adding a lot of things like the quick step and the critical edge, which has, you know, a universal you know, input motion for all the characters to make it easy for, you know, people to play. But at the same time, they're tuning it and they're adding in different things that the experienced players are going to be able to get in and do, which will again allow them to get better and to play it over time and to really, you know, practice and get, you know, master those characters.
So the depth is still there. I mean, the depth that was in all of the SoulCalibur games is still in this one, but now you're gonna have a new breed of players who are gonna come into the series, and that's what we want. We just want to make it big. We want everybody to play this.
So you're gonna make it big, and more news to come for. Oh, you're picking a new challenger entering the ring here.
New
Dennis.
challenge.
Yep. So
Test your mettle.
Yes.
All right. So who's your
Even though I'll be using a pad, but
using the pad, the D-pad?
It's a killer pad.
He's setting it up right now, folks. You know, it's important to lay the foundation of your excuses before
it happens.
The match. All right. Well, as you guys start this up, why don't you let us know when is SoulCalibur V coming out and on what platform?
yeah, so SoulCalibur V is coming out in 2012.
Okay.
So next year we got a little bit of time to go on this, but it's coming. You know, it's still coming very soon, and it's coming out on Xbox 360 and PS3.
All right, let's see it here. The fight. Let's see one round between you two, and this is, you know, I won't ask you questions. Focus all your energy on trying to rip out the other guy's soul, or, you know, as it were.
Oops.
And here we see they're fighting in some sort of nighttime battlegrounds, where a battle has raged and now the full moon is cast over nasty corpses just kind of lying around. Oh, Ivy.
It's not doing too hot.
Oh, you got arcade stick.
Yes.
All right, Dennis, Rich, thank you guys so much for coming on the show, showing off SoulCalibur V.
It's been a pleasure.
Look forward to more as SoulCalibur V release of next year approaches.
next
Folks,
year.
we'll definitely be tracking it, keeping an eye on it. Now we're going to head out to not the show floor. We're actually going out into San Diego at large. There was this place set up just right around the corner that's a sort of arts and cinema lounge that's sponsored / featuring Nintendo. I walked by last night and there was like big light shows projected on the wall. There was a DJ on the street corner and the whole area was thumping. So who knows what's in store for, I don't know what happens once you actually get inside, but I think we're going to do just that right now.